Wherever there was a circus, I would go. It didn't matter if it was a dusty field in the middle of nowhere or a grand arena packed with flashing lights. The scent of popcorn in the air, the roar of the crowd, the metallic clang of the trapeze ropes, all of it called to me like a song. But I wasn't there for the stunts or the fire breathers. I was there for her. The moment she stepped onto the stage, time itself seemed to freeze. The chatter of the audience would die down into an odd hush. Spotlights would follow her every move, but even without them, she would have shone like the North Star. She wasn't just a performer. She was the heart and soul of the entire circus. And somewhere along the way, she had become the heart and soul of my life, too. I didn't even know her real name at first. To the world, she was Aurora, the queen of the sky, the angel on the trapeze. But to me, she was something deeper, something sacred. I would sit in the front rows, whistling my admiration from afar, my heart pounding every time she flipped through the air with impossible grace. And when she passed by, I would toss handfuls of dollars at her feet, clumsy, desperate offerings from a man who didn't know any other way to say, "You are everything." At first, she ignored me. Why wouldn't she? I was just another face in the crowd, another admirer dazzled by her beauty. But over time, she started noticing. Maybe it was the dollars that caught her eye. Maybe it was the way I looked at her, not like a man looking at a show, but like a man seeing a miracle. Slowly, ever so slowly, her glances lingered a little longer. She would give a tiny smile barely there, but it would set my entire world ablaze. Then one evening, after a breathtaking performance that left the audience gasping, she did something she had never done before. As she walked by picking up the scattered bills, she paused beside me. She looked straight into my eyes and said, "Thank you." 2 simple words, but they shattered every wall around my heart. After that night, things changed between us. We began to talk after shows, first shyly, then with growing comfort. Her name was Emily, not Aurora, not some faraway star, but a girl with dreams and scars like anyone else. She told me about her life, how she had been born into the circus world, raised under tents and tarps, living a life full of wonder and loneliness. She confessed that she had never really known a life outside of the tightrope and the trapeze. The circus wasn't just her stage, it was her prison. Too was her prison, too. I told her about myself, about my ordinary life working a dead-end job in construction, about how I had never really found anything that made my heart beat faster. Until we started meeting more fun. Late-night coffee runs, secret conversations under the stars, stolen glances in the crowded arenas. It was intoxicating. For the first time in a long while, both of us felt seen, understood, cherished. But life has a cruel way of testing the things we love the most. The circus owner, a grim-faced man named Victor, noticed our growing closeness. Victor was a businessman first, and he saw Emily not as a human being, but as his biggest asset. He made it clear in no uncertain terms that our relationship was unwelcome. "She's not leaving," he told me once when I dared to ask about Emily's dreams of a life outside. "She belongs to the show. She belongs to me." Emily, for her part, was torn. She longed for freedom, to live a life where she could choose her own path, but she was also bound by loyalty and fear. The circus had been her family. Leaving it felt like cutting off a part of herself. And Victor wasn't a man to let go easily. There were contracts, debts, invisible chains that tied her down. We tried to fight it. I saved up every penny I had. I begged her to run away with me. For weeks, we planned late-night whispers and scribbled notes. Dreams spun like fragile glass. But every time we came close, fear would rear its ugly head. What if Victor found us? What if she lost everything and ended up with nothing? I promised her the world, but I was just a man with empty pockets and hope in my eyes. Then one night, tragedy struck. During a performance, Emily missed a catch. The audience gasped as she fell, crashing down onto the safety net below. She wasn't gravely injured, but the shock was enough to change everything. For days after, she didn't perform. She stayed in her trailer, staring at the ceiling, questioning everything. I realized something when I was falling. She told me one evening, her voice barely more than a whisper, "I'm not afraid of falling anymore. I'm afraid of never living." That was the moment we decided to leave. For real this time. No more fear, no more waiting for a perfect moment that would never come. We left under cover of darkness. Just 2 duffel bags and a beat-up old truck I had borrowed from a friend. We didn't have much, a few $100s between us, no real plan. But we had something stronger. We had each other. And for the first time in her life, Emily was free. The road wasn't easy. There were nights when we slept in the truck, hungry and cold. There were days when we doubted, when the weight of the world seemed too heavy to carry. But every time we wanted to give up, we would remember what we had escaped, a life lived in a cage. We eventually found a small town willing to give us a chance. I got a job fixing roofs. Emily, with her natural grace and love for movement, started teaching gymnastics to little kids. They adored her. And slowly, piece by piece, we built a life, not a perfect life, but a real one. Sometimes we would sit on the porch, watching the sunset bleed across the sky, and she would rest her head on my shoulder and say, "Thank you for whistling that first night. Thank you for seeing me." And I would smile, knowing deep down that she had saved me just as much as I had saved her. Life isn't about the grand performances or the dazzling spotlights. It's about finding the one person who makes you feel like you're flying, even with your feet firmly on the ground.